World War I did not begin with chaos, it began with confidence. In the early 1900s, Europe believed it was at the height of civilization. Cities glowed with electric lights, trains connected countries in hours. Science and technology were advancing faster than ever before. Many people believed humanity had become too intelligent, too modern, too rational to ever fight another massive war. They called this era La Belle Époque, the beautiful age. But beneath that beauty was a world overflowing with rivalry, paranoia, and ambition. Nations that smiled in public glared at each other in private. Generals prepared war plans in secret. Politicians made alliances that were supposed to guarantee peace, but instead created a system where one spark could burn the whole continent down. The world was walking confidently toward a cliff it could not see. To understand the full story of World War I, we must go back to the late 1800s, when Europe was being reshaped by power. Germany, newly unified in 1871, transformed from a collection of small states into an industrial giant almost overnight. Its leader, Kaiser Wilhelm II, wanted Germany to stand proudly among the great empires of the world. But Germany's sudden rise terrified its neighbors, especially France and Britain. French pride was wounded by its defeat in the Franco-Prussian War. Losing Alsace and Lorraine was not just a territorial loss, it was an open wound that would never heal. Every French schoolchild grew up learning about the humiliation. The desire for revenge was quiet but always present. Meanwhile, Britain controlled the largest empire in human history. Its navy dominated the oceans. Britain believed that as long as it ruled the waves, its empire was safe. But when Germany began building a massive navy, Britain panicked. Germany claimed it only wanted protection, but Britain saw the expansion as a direct threat. Newspapers shouted about the German menace. Suddenly, the two most powerful nations in Europe began a race to build bigger battleships, faster fleets, and deadlier weapons. Russia, the largest nation in the world by land, looked powerful from the outside, but inside it was struggling. The empire was poor, divided, and shaken by rebellions. Its defeat by Japan in 1905 was humiliating. To regain confidence and influence, Russia embraced a mission: protect and lead all Slavic nations. Serbia, a small but proud Slavic country in the Balkans, became Russia's closest ally. Austria-Hungary, by contrast, was an empire past its prime. It controlled dozens of ethnic groups, each demanding more rights or independence. Every year, the empire became more fragile. Austria feared that if Serbia grew stronger, Slavic groups inside its borders would rebel, and so Austria viewed Serbia as a threat to its survival. These nations began forming alliances. Germany supported Austria-Hungary, France supported Russia. Britain leaned toward France. Italy joined Germany and Austria but didn't fully trust them. Europe became a web of promises, each one pulling countries closer to the brink of disaster. If one nation went to war, its allies were obligated to join. The system was supposed to prevent war, but instead, it guaranteed that any conflict would spread like wildfire. Alongside these alliances was an explosion of nationalism. People were proud of their countries, but in some places, nationalism meant hatred. Serbs wanted independence from Austria-Hungary. Bosnians wanted freedom. Czechs wanted autonomy. Germans believed they were destined for greatness. French citizens dreamed of restoring their lost territories. Everyone wanted something and no one was willing to compromise. Militarism added to the tension. Generals across Europe believed war was inevitable. They've created detailed plans for fighting enemies they hadn't even declared war on. Germany built the Schlieffen Plan, a strategy to defeat France quickly by attacking through Belgium. Russia rebuilt its army. France prepared for a lightning-fast counterattack. Each nation expected the next war to be short, decisive, and glorious, a fantasy that would die in muddy trenches. The final ingredient was imperialism. European powers competed fiercely to control Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Germany wanted more colonies. France wanted to expand its empire. Britain wanted to protect its trade routes. Every step one nation took caused another to feel threatened. The world became a chessboard of empires, each move pushing toward conflict. By 1914, the stage was set. Europe had built a political machine so complex that once it began moving, it was almost impossible to stop. And then came the spark. June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, traveled to Sarajevo in Bosnia. Bosnia had been recently annexed by Austria-Hungary, angering many Serbs who lived there. A secret Serbian nationalist organization known as the Black Hand plotted to assassinate the Archduke during his visit. They believed killing him would weaken the empire and help free Slavic people. The morning of the visit, several assassins positioned themselves along the motorcade route. As Franz Ferdinand's car approached, one assassin threw a bomb. The bomb bounced off the car and exploded behind it, injuring several officers. Franz Ferdinand was shaken but unhurt. The attack failed. Later, the Archduke insisted on visiting the injured. His driver, confused by a last-minute route change, made a wrong turn onto a narrow side street. The car stopped to reverse. Standing there by chance was Gavrilo Princip, a 19-year-old assassin who believed the mission was over. When he looked up, he saw the Archduke's car right in front of him. Princip fired 2 shots. Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie collapsed and died shortly after. The assassination shocked Europe, but no one predicted the catastrophe that would follow. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia. Serbia denied direct responsibility. But Austria saw the assassination as an opportunity to crush Serbia once and for all. They asked Germany for support. Germany gave them a blank check, a promise of unconditional help, even if it meant war with Russia. It was one of the most dangerous decisions in history. Austria-Hungary issued a harsh ultimatum to Serbia, demanding they allow Austrian officials to operate inside Serbia. Serbia accepted most demands, but not all. Austria declared war. Russia mobilized to defend Serbia. Germany ordered Russia to stop. Russia refused. Germany declared war on Russia. France allied with Russia, mobilized its forces. Germany declared war on France and activated the Schlieffen Plan, the invasion of Belgium. Belgium resisted and appealed for help. Britain, bound by treaty and outraged by Germany's attack on a neutral country, declared war on Germany. In just a few days, alliances triggered a domino effect. What began as an assassination in the Balkans turned into a global war. When war broke out, people cheered. In every major city, Berlin, Paris, Vienna, London, Moscow, crowds gathered waving flags. Newspapers printed bold headlines predicting quick victory. Young men rushed to enlist, believing they would be home by Christmas. They had no idea what awaited them. The early months of the war were fast and violent. Germany pushed through Belgium into France. The French army, wearing bright red and blue uniforms, launched desperate counterattacks but suffered massive losses. British forces arrived to help slow the German advance. The German army moved so quickly that within weeks, they were approaching Paris. But near the Marne River, the French launched a massive defense. In a desperate move, the French government sent taxis to transport thousands of soldiers to the front lines. The German advance slowed, then stopped. The Schlieffen Plan failed. Germany had hoped for a quick victory, but now the war would drag on. Failed offensives forced armies to dig trenches. What began as temporary shelters soon expanded into massive networks stretching across Europe. Soldiers lived in ditches filled with mud, rats, and disease. The smell of death never disappeared. Trenches were separated by no man's land, a wasteland of barbed wire, craters, and corpses. Any attempt to cross it resulted in slaughter. Modern weapons made the war even deadlier. Machine guns could fire hundreds of rounds per minute. Artillery shells could explode with terrifying force. Poison gas burned lungs and skin. Airplanes appeared for the first time in war, at first only for observation, then later dropping bombs. Tanks were invented to break through trenches, but early models were slow and unreliable. The Western Front became a nightmare. For 3 years, both sides launched massive offensives, Verdun the Somme, past Yendel, each costing hundreds of thousands of lives, each gaining almost no ground. A few hundred yards of territory could cost tens of thousands of men. While the Western Front became a stalemate, the Eastern Front remained fluid. Russia suffered heavy losses against Germany, but continued fighting. Austria-Hungary struggled against Russia and Serbia. The Ottoman Empire joined the war on Germany's side, opening new fronts in the Middle East. Battles erupted in Africa, Asia, and across the oceans. Japan joined the Allies. The world was at war in every sense. By 1916, the strain of war began breaking empires. Russia faced famine, revolt, and massive casualties. In 1917, the Russian Revolution forced the Tsar to abdicate. The new Bolshevik government signed a peace treaty with Germany, ending Russia's involvement. At first, Germany celebrated. Now they could shift their forces west, but the celebration didn't last long. In April 1917, the United States entered the war. German submarines had sunk American ships, and Germany had secretly encouraged Mexico to attack the US. When the American government learned of this plan, the decision was clear. President Woodrow Wilson declared war, calling it a fight to make the world safe for democracy. American troops arrived slowly at first, but by 1918 they were arriving by the hundreds of thousands. Their arrival boosted Allied morale and strengthened their armies, desperate to win before more Americans arrived. Germany launched a massive offensive in early 1918. It pushed deep into Allied lines, the largest German advance since 1914. But the offensive exhausted Germany's troops. When the Allies counterattacked, supported by fresh American soldiers, the German lines collapsed. Germany's allies fell one by one. Bulgaria surrendered. The Ottoman Empire collapsed. Austria-Hungary dissolved into multiple new countries: Hungary, Austria, Czechoslovakia, and others. By November 1918, Germany was alone. Its people were starving. Its army couldn't continue. The Kaiser fled. A new government took over and agreed to an armistice. On November 11, 1918, at 11 a.m., the guns fell silent. The Great War was over, but the peace that followed was bitter. The Treaty of Versailles punished Germany heavily. It forced them to accept blame for the war, pay massive reparations, lose territory, and reduce their military. Many Germans felt humiliated. The treaty planted seeds of anger that would later help fuel World War II. The war reshaped the world. 4 empires disappeared: German, Russian, Austro-Hungarian, and Ottoman. Millions of soldiers and civilians died. Technology advanced in terrifying ways. Borders changed across Europe and the Middle East. Nations gained independence. Others fell into chaos. The global economy was shaken. Trauma spread across generations. World War I was supposed to be the war to end all wars, but instead, it created the conditions for an even deadlier conflict just 2 decades later. Yet one lesson remains the most important. The war did not happen because of one cause. It happened because of many. Nationalism, militarism, alliances, imperialism, fear, pride, and miscalculation. It happened because leaders believed war was inevitable, because nations prepared for war instead of peace, because diplomacy failed, because no one realized that one mistake, one wrong turn could destroy the world. The story of World War I is a warning written in blood, a warning that even the strongest nations can collapse, that even the most advanced civilizations can fall into madness, and that war, once begun, cannot be controlled. The world of 1914 walked into disaster, not because people wanted destruction, but because they believed war would bring glory, order, or safety. Instead, it brought suffering beyond imagination. Subscribe for more history videos.